tasks me. He tasks me, and I shall have him. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia, and round the Antares maelstrom, and round perdition's flames before I give him up. Sorry, I don't know what came over me there. Space. A continuous extension interval between planets, stars and other objects. These are the critiques of the critic McElvoy. His continuing mission to review strange new shows, to seek out new work and new bastardizations, to boldly note what no critic has noted before. Words there from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, performed much better, I might add, by Ricardo Montalban, the late, great Ricardo Montalban, in probably the best act of on-screen villainy ever committed to celluloid, and later upscaled for physical media. That quote there is a cribbing, or an adaptation, if you like, of words from Moby Dick. It speaks to the approach of Nicholas Meyer when he scripted Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It's a very literary script. It's a little bit of Hornblower meets Ahab's quest to defeat the whale that left him with a physical and mental scar. Of course, Kirk is Khan's whale. Kirk is Khan's dick, if you like. The point is, it's a highly memorable character, originally seen in Space Seed, season 1 of the original series, 1967, and later reprised in 1982 in the movie we all remember and love. A movie that's so good that when it was re-released just a few years ago in cinemas, it held the attention of an entire row of people visiting London for the day who I witnessed pour into a cinema to get out of the rain, who hadn't got a clue what they were about to see. I'm not even sure they spoke English, but boy were they quiet for that 1 hour and 50 minutes. They had a whale of a time. No, Moby Dick pun intended. Yes, Wrath of Khan, directed by Nicholas Meyer, written in a week by Nicholas Meyer, from a whole multitude of screenplays that were already lying about the place, that he and a group of people in a frenzy at his place stripped of all of the elements they liked, put them together on a sort of a sheet of paper, and then he went away and he wrote the screenplay. He turned it around in just a week, and he turned it in so late in the day that he didn't even get a deal whereby he would be credited. So you won't see his name in the opening credits as a screenwriter, though screenwriter he was. And because it was put together so quickly, there are errors in it. The presence of Chekhov, for example.
Mr. Chekhov, isn't it? I never thought to see your face again.
Well, no reason why Chekhov shouldn't be on that away mission, but there's every reason why Khan shouldn't recognise him, because he wasn't in the first season. But we just have to assume he was in the background somewhere. And Khan remembers him despite not being seen to have interacted with him during that episode. Mistakes were made. You try writing a screenplay in a week, see if you don't make some continuity errors. So, The Wrath of Khan is I suppose what I'm trying to say is it's a kind of a cinematic miracle, really. It came together very quickly. Once Nicholas Meyer was appointed, he made it work, and he invested it with a tone that we now associate with the original series movies, a sort of hornblower-like tone which is rich in sort of naval finery and convention. Not something that was pushed to the forefront in the original series, or indeed continued by Gina Roddenberry in The Next Generation and beyond. But it's there in the second, third, fourth, fifth and sixth movie, and it's there because of Nicholas Meyer. And Nicholas Meyer, for all his achievements, writer of the 7% Solution, director of Time After Time, etc., etc., a man of many talents, will always be associated with Khan Noonien Singh and The Wrath of Khan, because it's an iconic film and a pop cultural milestone, etc., etc. And you will say the only problem with that is that it is vulnerable in this predatory, nostalgia-bait climate of ours, where talentless hacks like Alex Kurtzman, who control the Star Trek universe, forage desperately in other writers' bins for ideas to adapt. Oh God, we don't have any of our own. What can we use from the past? What have other people thrown away that we can use and adapt? It's vulnerable, isn't it, to them, the predators, who want to keep reselling us the same old stuff.
Do you mean he never told you the tale? To amuse your captain, no?
So when you hear that there's going to be a Star Trek Khan series, originally a 3-part mini-series, now a 9-part podcast series, part of you dies inside because you think, oh God, no. If it's produced by Alex Kurtzman, it's going to be terrible. But then you look into it a bit more and, you hold the fuck on, because it's not just anybody who's crafted the story. It's not your Uncle Dave. It's not, a fanfic writer who got lucky. It's Nicholas Meyer. Nicholas Meyer himself came up with the story. You think, oh, okay, all right, tell me more. And then you discover that his story, too expensive to allegedly be adapted for the big screen or the small screen, will be an audio drama written by 2 of Star Trek's novel luminaries, namely Kirsten Beyer and David Mack, writers who, despite Kirsten Beyer's association with Discovery and Strange New Worlds, you think, generally, when they're left to their own devices, when they don't have the straitjacket on of TV Trek, have generally speaking been found to be good and reliable Star Trek writers. So you think, well, there's a pedigree there, or something like it. Nicholas Meyer, Kirsten Beyer, David Mack. I'm interested. And the fact that it's a podcast, an audio drama, as we sometimes call them, means surely creative freedom. Alex Kurtzman doesn't care about audio dramas, does he? He doesn't listen to that sort of thing. He doesn't understand it if it doesn't cost $180 million that he can piss up the wall. So he won't be listening, so he's not going to be bothered really what they do. He doesn't care. He knows that there's a niche audience at best out there for an audio drama. So he's going to let them do what they want, isn't he? Sure, he's going to insist they expand it a bit, because 3 episodes for a podcast is a bit mean. So it's expanded to 9 full-length episodes, all around 35 to 45 minutes long. And you think, okay, this could be interesting. Tell me a little bit more about it. And you learn, well, there's going to be a framing story. This is going to be the story of Khan. On those years he was in exile on Ceti Alpha V.
This is Ceti Alpha V! Ceti Alpha 6 exploded 6 months after we were left here. The shock shifted the orbit of this planet and everything was laid waste.
And there would be a framing story set around the time of the undiscovered country, involving Sulu's Excelsior and an ensign Tuvok, no less. That would be the discovery of an historian looking into Khan's stay on Ceti Alpha V and exploring what happened using some undiscovered logs. The audio version of found footage. So, again, you kind of, you grimace slightly at that prospect. You think, oh, okay, well, that's a bit hokey, but all right, I can go with it. It will work in audio form. Let's see what happens. It'd be nice to know what occurred to Khan's beloved wife, the historian McGivers. What took place after Ceti Alpha 6 exploded and the orbit shifted and everything was laid waste? What happened next? How are they going to surprise us? How is the story going to surprise us when we think we know it already and we just imagine it to be, well, a fight for life, but not necessarily terribly, full of thrills and spills and plot twists? I mean, we think we know what happened, don't we? Khan spent a bit of time on Ceti Alpha V. Him and his followers looked around. They said, gosh, this is nice. What a lovely world this is. I'll be damned if anything's going to go wrong here. We'll be fine. We've got nature's bounty. We've got all the animals we can kill and all the fruit we can eat and all the vegetables we can grow, and the water's clean and the air's clean, and, well, it's a paradise really, isn't it? What are the chances that the neighbouring planet in this system will explode? Laying the whole world waste. And what are the chances that subsequently we'll all be picked off by the planet's only surviving indigenous life form, an eel that lays its eggs in your ears and then makes you go insane before basically killing you? That's so remote, it's almost not worth thinking about. But there are some questions around that story, aren't there? For example, how could a planet like Ceti Alpha 6 be so close to blowing up, but Federation science hadn't detected as such? I mean, when Kirk left Khan and his followers on Ceti Alpha V, they didn't detect any problems in the star system. Did they not have the technology, or did they miss it? And that's addressed here in this mini-series. The mystery of Ceti Alpha 6. We didn't know there was a mystery, but there is one, and here it's both presented to us and solved. And Nicholas Meyer's story throws up a few more interesting little tidbits. We learn that there's another species on Ceti Alpha V, another tribe, if you like, the Elborians, and they have a leader, Del Monda, and he's another, swinging Moby Dick like Khan, and he's they vie for supremacy and control over a worthless planet. And we didn't know that Khan had made an escape attempt, to leave Ceti Alpha V before Chekhov and co showed up, which ended in disaster due to what could only be described as a piece of Shakespearean tragedy. And I could go on, but that, I'm going on the assumption that you may have some interest in listening to it, and therefore you'll want to find out all the little details yourself. But what I can tell you about Star Trek: Khan is that it is better than you would expect from an Alex Kurtzman production, probably due to indifference on his part and a lack of interference. But also that it never quite sort of transcends its sort of audiobook trappings, if you like, in the sense that it's very theatrical and everything is very heavy, if I can put it that way. It's very earnest, very emphatic. It's performed with a certain zeal which is particular to radio drama.
I'm not a drama critic.
Which, if you're used to consuming Trek in other mediums, you may find a little bit ripe. Yes? But if you've listened to a lot of audiobooks, Star Trek audiobooks by Simon and Schuster, this will be familiar territory to you, including, a slightly zany space score, original sound effects, and that register of performance. And so you'll say, oh yeah, I get it. But I suppose what you really want to know is, and you're waiting for me to say it, is the Khan in Star Trek Khan any good? We don't care about any of the other characters, do we? Not really. Let's just get a few out of the way. Tim Russ as Tuvok sounds exactly like Tuvok, and is believably Tuvok of a certain vintage. George Takei as Captain Sulu. I always thought it was a mistake for Sulu to be made captain of the Excelsior, but I know I'm in a minority there. Never found Sulu a particularly interesting character. Well, goodness me, does he sound all of his, 90,000 years here. This is supposed to be Sulu as we encountered him in the 2290s, just after the period of Star Trek The Undiscovered Country. We must assume, alas, that Captain Sulu has got a sore throat or something, during the time of the modern day portion of Star Trek Khan, because he sounds about 87 years old. You'd have thought with audio technology they could have tweaked it a little bit, maybe removed, you know, some of it. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you know what they can do these days. They can make a voice sound younger. I mean, my God, if they can pull John Lennon's vocal off a cassette, surely they can make George Takei sound like he's in his 50s, can't they? Anyway, let's get to it, finally. I know what you want to know. What's Khan like? Khan here is played by a man called Naveen Andrews, who was in Lost, I believe. Now, Naveen Andrews is British, and Khan isn't. The version of Khan that is British is the version we don't care to think about, the version from Star Trek Into Darkness, played infamously instead of Well by Benedict Cumberbatch. And what they've gone for here is a kind of middle ground. Perhaps Alex Kurtzman did intervene and say, oh, you're doing a thing about Khan. Okay, well, we'll make sure that that it pays homage to my movie, Star Trek Into Darkness. You'll do that, won't you? What? Yeah. I mean, that's a version of Khan too, so same character. Oh, well, we were hoping to actually completely ignore that because it's an abomination, Alex. Okay, so you'll sort that. Okay, great, love you. So this Khan is somewhere in between. In some episodes, with certain line readings, yeah, he does sound a little bit like the Khan that we know and love. But in others, sounds a bit like Benedict Cumberbatch. He's somewhere in the middle. But there's no attempt here to perform as Ricardo Montalban's Khan, which is shocking, really. Why not? You see, you'd think the advantage to an audio drama, I hope I'm not making too much of this, is that you can do anything. You can synthesize anybody's voice, bring the dead back to life, if you will, and frankly, even if you won't. And the human imagination fills in the blanks, adds the visual performance. Now, given how easy it would have been to do this, it's a bit odd not to do it. I mean, why have the real Sulu and the real Tuvok? You know, why have George Takei? Why have Tim Russ? People aren't going to flock to this thing to listen to these two old duffers, are they? Tim Russ is in it! There I'm consciously alluding to a joke in the sitcom Nurses, where a man says,
"Can you believe these guys breaking their necks to see some old movie where the bad guy is Ricardo Montalban?" Montalban.
Yeah, Ricardo Montalban would be reason enough to run towards something. But anyway, why have fidelity with some characters but not with others? See what I mean? Why not have fidelity when it comes to the character, the star of your show? The person who's supposed to act as the bridge between Space Seed and the Wrath of Khan. Why does Khan go from sounding like Ricardo Montalban to sounding like Naveen Andrews and then going back to being Ricardo Montalban? Do you follow me? It wouldn't be too hard, would it? To do an impression of him at least. Find an actor who could perform him without doing a standard impersonation. In much the same way that Carl Urban embodied DeForest Kelley in those awful Kelvin Timeline movies. it felt like watching DeForest Kelley, didn't it, in a way? You had that sense of McCoy. You don't really have that here. The character is Khan. He's he's got that sort of presence. He's got that kind of Shakespearean king thing going on. It doesn't sound right. Star Trek Khan. Failed experiment or new frontier in terms of Star Trek original dramas? Well, I think more of the former than the latter. There was nothing wrong with it. It was perfectly fine. Was it a story that needed to be told? No. Is the Wrath of Khan forever changed because of it? I don't think so. Not enough people will ever listen to this thing for that to be the case. But let's imagine that they did. Let's say one day it was compulsory in every school in the land that this thing were played and people had to watch Wrath of Khan afterwards. Would that movie be significantly changed? No, although certain layers of psychological depth and tragedy would be added to it. But truthfully, I don't think it needs any of those additional bits and pieces. I think Ricardo Montalban's performance in the movie is so good, and that he evokes a sense of loss and anger so vividly that you don't really need to know all the details. But the details as presented in this version of the story don't in any way wreck the movie or molest the original series episode, which they sequelize either. So it's a case of no harm done, but no significant contribution to canon made either. And you can tell this is an Alex Kurtzman production because they managed to get the word shit into there somehow. Which again I've always maintained is Kurtzman's sort of subconscious way of describing his own work. He insists on that word being inserted into every script. We've got to get one swear word into every script I produce, and it's shit. Why do you always choose shit, Alex? I don't know. But we know, don't we? So you can listen to it now on YouTube if you want to. And you won't be significantly worse off if you do. That's all I can say, really. But I don't think we should make a habit of it. I know there's going to be some temptation as long as Kurtzman's in charge of things because, hey, it's cheap Trek. So let's do more of them. Let's do the untold stories. But I would just rather Kurtzman's era ended completely and that a new creative team made the decisions about future Trek. And the first decision they could make would be to tell stories about Trek's future, not its cannibalised past. Until next time, I'm Dr. McAvoy, it's not my real name, and yeah, you can't get away.
Close the channel, Mr. Worf.
Gladly, sir.